There it is.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. So it was the year 2021, and all year long, the pros dropped headlines and social proof about how to lose COVID weight, flatten your belly, target thigh fat, and shape your booty. We've all seen it. We've all heard it. And we're here today to kind of destroy it a little bit, some of those outrageous and inflated promises, but still give you some hope and some certainty that change can still happen even without those crazy headlines, and you can still move the needle. I'm Nick.
I'm Rebecca.
I am Brandon. Our goal with these talks, Nick, as you kind of said, is maybe to change some minds. It's really to provide high value info and actions, right? We're all about the action that you can take. So stick around. We usually get to those big action pieces at the end. But for now, let us know you're here. Say hi. Please leave a comment. And whether you're watching now or watching later. So I want to start out by saying, like, that language, right, that you just talked about, and maybe this is a good topic to really concentrate on, in one of our future lives. But that language,
I'd agree with that.
Okay, good. Well, stick around next week. We'll talk about that, guys. I'm going to talk about it a little bit right now, because that language of our industry, and really, surrounding the health and wellness in general, can be pretty damaging, right? And I think you guys would agree. Like, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but we can't. And while we can't fix the industry or cultural norms, right, what we can do is create a community and a culture and language that doesn't equate health with being skinny, right, or looking any way in particular at all, right? That's kind of what I want to get at. Like, your health, how you look is not your health, right? And while, we can know or at least want to believe that being healthy is about how we feel and how we move, our relationships, the mind, body, spirit, biopsychosocial Venn diagrams or whatever, all the inspirational stuff, right? That, I don't know, all the inspirational things from your favorite, like, inspirational quotes Facebook group or your favorite tea package, whatever. The fact is, how we look does indeed affect how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It's a fact that we are all working with or working on. And so, yeah, I think we all can acknowledge that we don't want it necessarily to be that way, but it is. It's something we're all working with. So, like I said, we can't fix the things that have been put in our heads over our entire lives overnight. But we can do the work to give our heads and our hearts some peace and take some action to help our bodies and our minds find that middle ground and a happy medium sort of between those two things. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Well, so how about this? When I was trying to figure out how to get healthy and how to be fit, I kind of found that there were pretty much two camps, right? You have love yourself no matter what. There's no such thing as a wrong food. You just eat what you want when you want. If you're hungry, you eat and just be free. Your health is all in your head. Eat donuts, exist on love and fairy farts. Life is way too short and precious. Just go. And then, then you have, like, the flip side of things where you have all the crazy people on the other end where it's all, get your beach body back, but you can't ever eat a carb again, and work until you yak. What's your excuse? Work, work, work. And that's just crazy. And it seems like it's two totally polar opposite ends of the spectrum.
Totally. The drill sergeant camp, and then
I feel like you summarized those so well, because that is like, that's significant. Everything you just said, like, some people are just like, don't worry about it. And then other people are like, if you don't work harder than you've ever worked today, right now in this 45-minute block, your life is meaningless. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
And
Right.
intimidating and scary.
Yeah, very.
It's scary. Yeah, definitely. And I know people see two guys sometimes and think that that's where this is going immediately. So that's it, guys. Our talk is over today. Everything. But no, I do. I really believe that we need to. I think we can, but I think we need to live somewhere between those two absolutely ridiculous extremes. But yeah, all that being said, there are some legitimate health concerns that we cannot ignore, right? And when it comes to the belly fat, I even hate that combination of words like belly fat.
Belly fat.
Like, I don't know. It just bugs me. But so the whole belly fat conversation, right? What we're talking about, visceral fat, okay, is the thing we can't ignore or just accept. Because namaste or whatever, like, right? It's okay. Like, unless you're, I'm trying not to swear, unless you're like, namaste about like living a short life,
right?
Because that's the reality about that. Okay, so visceral fat, right? What we're talking about is the fat layer under the muscle layer,
right? I'm actually curious. I just had this thought a second ago. Has anybody ever felt like you belonged in one of those two extreme groups that Rebecca was just talking about? Like,
great question.
Like, just don't worry about it and just love yourself and everything will be fine. Or were you in the other group where you're like, if I don't work hard, my life sucks. Like, if I don't make myself sore to the point where I can't sit down on the pot, like, have you ever been in either one of those groups and felt like this doesn't feel right? This isn't something that I should be striving for like that. Or if you're out there, like, raise your hand, let us know.
Yeah. And I want to add on to that really quickly. Or do you feel like you bounce back and forth between those groups? That's the pattern.
I definitely was a bouncer.
Yeah, totally. And it's, and sometimes that's how it is. It's like bumper bowling. Like, we kind of like bounce back and forth from one side of the lane to the other until we hit, somewhere hopefully close to the middle. And the goal is to try to live life in the middle. Right.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. Continue, Nick.
Oh, you're good. The other thought that I had was, you were just talking about how visceral fat, and it's funny that like we kind of came around to this because a couple of weeks ago I was just talking to Marianne about how I'm a little concerned that looking at both of my parents, I'm a little concerned that visceral fat's going to be part of my world moving forward. So I have to start being a little bit more careful as I age. But so it's just funny that it's being brought up today. But I know that like belly fat, whether it's visceral fat or not, while it's a super common issue either way. And it's honestly, it's uncomfortable to talk about. And I know it's even more uncomfortable to have. But like you were saying, Brandon, visceral fat, it's an actual danger. Yeah. Basically it encases your organs. It's Brandon said it's fat under the muscle layer, but what it does is it creates it encases the organs, like I said, but it creates anything from high blood pressure to heart problems to premature death even. And that's why it's nothing to joke about, which is why we're here talking about it, I guess. So, but when when it comes down to it, the three main points when talking about weight is basically, and you're probably both of you agree, and hopefully everybody else will too. It's basically how many calories you're consuming in a day, then how many calories you're burning in a day, and then it's your age. So I was just talking about myself as I move forward in my life. Age matters because as we age, lean muscles, I don't want to use the word deteriorate, but lean muscles, we start to lose it a little bit. It decreases, right?
Yeah.
And therefore your metabolism decreases. And then when you eat too much and you eat the wrong things and you don't exercise enough, like it's a recipe for disaster. Bottom line, you're going to be gaining. And I think what's really important to highlight is because a lot of people like, I don't like to exercise. It's, that's not me. I don't like going to the gym. I get that.
Yeah. I hate the gym. I never go to the gym.
Yeah. I do enjoy the gym, but it doesn't have to be what is a typical gym environment to get a good workout in, right? Understand just that movement in any sense is like breath for your body, right? It's like breathing and it's like water, and we need those things to live.
Totally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of our
So-
circulation depends on movement, right? It's not just our heart pumping.
Yeah,
all
that's
that.
one thing,
You
right?
gotta
There's a
bend
billion
yourself.
other things though.
Yeah.
Right down to literally like the function of a basic cell.
Mhm.
So when you starve yourself of movement, only bad things can happen from that point
Right.
forward. It's just like if you starve yourself of water, if you starve yourself of food, if you hold your breath, bad things are going to happen. It's that simple. And it's important in the reduction of belly fat, particularly we're talking about last week, we talked about exercise and what exercises might be good for you. And a lot of people, what we covered was a lot of people do believe that cardio, especially like the types of cardio where you get on the treadmill or you get on that elliptical and you huff it for an hour, right? They think that that's the key. But really the key is adding in some resistance, doing some weightlifting, even if it's just your body resistance or a band. That has a significantly much more impact on the reduction of belly fat, or what I think we'll probably dive into later is full whole body fat. But that's all we're going to say about exercise this week, right? I want to take it back to exercise.
Well, and movement's important, but it's also not enough, right? Something that I know from experience is that it's about what you eat and how healthy your gut is too. That now part of my daily routine is prebiotics and probiotics because I need my gut functioning properly. Right, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a bit of a stickler about this. And this is kind of like more of a practice or do what I say, not as I do type of thing. Cause my gut's screwed up all the time. But I know what I should be doing. One of those things, like you said, you mentioned prebiotics. That's basically a type of fiber that acts as food for probiotics. And it comes from fruits, vegetables. It's like I said, it's a type of fiber. So we got to have those though. And when we feed the probiotics, that's when it creates kind of the healthy gut biome. And when it comes to probiotics, like which ones you're putting in yourself those are important too, right? So like honestly, not all supplements are created equally. A lot of them have the lactobacillus in it, but a lot of them are lacking the bifidobacterium, and those are just two strains that are specifically. There's a lot of studies out there that show that those two strains alone can help to reduce belly fat just by having them in your system. And like I said, they work in tandem with prebiotics. But basically, they help to keep everything running smoothly, from digestion to hormone production and delivery of the hormone to other organs that are important to have it, which in turn keeps you feeling happy, and it's good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health.
Yes, that's actually what I kind of want to talk about. But to kind of jump back to your point, your three sort of points of calories in versus calories out and age.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily how many calories, or it's not only about how many calories. It's the type of calories.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you definitely want to go for quality over quantity.
Yeah. Quantity doesn't tend to matter as much, right? Our body can adapt to that, right? Especially with movement, right? It's not just like, you can sit and do nothing and eat as much as you want and your body's going to adapt to that. Like, it doesn't quite work like that. But
and you also
we've
can't
seen the
go for like a
disaster of
4,000-calorie
reduction.
diet, but...
Right. We've seen the disaster of calorie reduction as well. But yeah, what you're talking about here is quality and the types of food that you're eating, right? That's the big thing. And what this means, in terms of weight, or if we're going to keep using that language of belly fat, that drives me nuts. I hate it. But okay, that's our discussion, right? The belly fat discussion, right? We're talking about reducing inflammation and bloating, which is a pretty major contributor, right, to that, right? Yeah. How many times have you eaten something and you're like, Jesus Christ, I feel like I just gained 5 pounds, right? And you're like, ugh, like it's miserable. And that's a question. That's a matter of the quality of your food.
Yeah.
So, but beyond that, Nick, you touched a little bit on, and first, before I even move on to that, I want to make sure people understand that. Like, this is a food quality issue. Please, give us a thumbs up, drop a comment. Like, if you really get that, like, that your health, one of the biggest components of your health is the kind of food you eat. It's actually more important than how much you actually eat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one to grasp, especially because,
Very,
over the last
very.
50 years, they say restrict, restrict, restrict.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
really teach you about what it is,
Right. And just to
so.
touch on that, right? And we brought it up before.
Yeah.
The common advice, the conventional wisdom of the last 50 years, restrict, restrict, restrict. And that's what people are doing. And where has the obesity trend gone?
Especially in the US.
Nothing but upward, right? Yeah. And now we're seeing it in other countries because the US tends to set these trends worldwide.
I have to say that got easier for me in working with both of you guys, because I actually eat more food now than I did 6 months ago, and I'm healthier. And not that thinness and healthiness are tied to each other, but I'm actually thinner than I was 6 months ago, and I'm eating nearly twice as much food on a daily basis. And it's because I'm keeping track of what I'm burning, and I'm, burning more food. I can eat more plants, and that's what I eat. Plants.
Yeah, that's right. When you eat good food, you can eat a lot more. When you eat whole
and
food,
we love to eat, which is, a big part of the reason why the group exists.
I smash food. That's it's my
Totally.
job. Like, Rebecca's seen me eat. It's horrible.
It's true. It's very true.
But I do want to return to that point about what we eat, quality of our food, what we eat is hugely important to our mental and emotional state. Mm-hmm. Not just the behavior, not just around like guilt and things like that, but the gut microbiome. So serotonin, we've covered this a little bit. We've touched on this, but like a really large percentage of our serotonin production happens in our gut. Right? If you're messing with that, you're literally messing with your ability to feel content. Right? Those are your happiness hormones, right? And if you're destroying them before they get a chance to do their job, I mean, think about what that means.
Yeah.
Right. So hugely, hugely, hugely important.
I've been there. You guys know this, but like everybody else out there, like I've been there. It's not a good place to be when everything's screwed up. My like I said earlier, my gut's screwed up a lot, but I know how to get it back on track when I need to.
It's just a motivation issue with you.
Yeah. So I've said it before, like sugar is one of my biggest enemies. It's an addiction, 100%, and it's one of the worst things I put in my body. But when it's readily available, I cannot help myself. That's the issue. That's what screws up my gut more often than not.
Me too. And just to touch on that, like we've had a lot of conversations recently. I'm one of those people, like it's way easier for me to say no altogether than it is to try to moderate. Like I have to, like, that's kind of what our sugar fast was about. Like, hey, it's a lot easier to just not have it than it is to try to control it. Right.
Yeah.
Like if
I'm running through that with a couple others in group right now. I'm sure anybody who's in the group, I'm sure you've seen some of the hashtag no sugar here. That's us pushing for no sugar. So
yeah, talk to us about that if that's something you know that you could use. It's a freeing experience.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we did it. We did it for ourselves, and we were like, oh yeah, the world definitely needs this.
Yeah. Right. You don't know what you're missing out on until you go a week without sugar.
Right. So those things totally right. So what kind of things improved? Right? Mood, right? Happiness, energy levels, sleep patterns. Sleep patterns. And Rebecca, I know that you have experience with this, right?
Yeah. I want to talk about the rest and relaxation part because I'm big on that. And I know you guys are big on that, but sleep is super, super, super important. I don't get nearly enough of it, and I'm well aware of that. but it's really, really important for your mental and physical recovery to get enough sleep, right? And it also, I do know it screws with your hormones when you don't get enough sleep. It
Oh my
messes with a
God.
lot of things. Sleep is kind of at the core of almost everything that has to do with your health.
Yeah.
So much. Yeah. And we can talk about like the biggest, most obvious, right? Like the cortisol spikes. I mean, what happens, not just the spikes, but just the buildup that happens with sleep. And we know that leads to inflammation, impacts fat storage, the whole insulin and cortisol, interplay that happens. And that's another talk that we've done.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. That information right there, the cortisol spikes. I was like, whoa, what? I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Right. That's our stress talk, which, if you want to hear that, ask. we'll direct you to it.
Yeah, we can refer you there.
But yeah, when you don't get enough sleep or your sleep is interrupted, which can happen right around, depending on what kind of food you're eating as well, or if you're getting enough activity, right? So then you have other things start to go crazy, right? Ghrelin is increased, and which means you're going to be hungrier. That's your like, hey, you need to eat, hormone. And then leptin is reduced, and leptin is your off switch, right? Your satiety hormone, right? You're content. You've had enough, right? So basically, sorry, what were you saying?
No, just it's what tells you don't need to eat anymore. Like you're done. Stop.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically, if I were to simplify this, lack of sleep equals stress as far as your body's response.
Yeah.
Right. And we've gone pretty deep into stress around here and what that does to your body and some of the things that I just described here.
Not pretty.
Yeah. You guys might not know this about me, but I'm actually a bit of a sleep nerd because I've always struggled with sleep. And I've actually even created an entire like experiment and like a way to fix somebody's sleep. Just because just via the things that I had to go through. And a big part of it was like, I needed to figure out how to kind of alleviate my anxiety, which by the way, like sleep isn't a cure all for that, by the way. It does happen over time and there's other work that you put into it. But anyway, there's also I also developed, I don't know that I developed it, but I've kind of discovered it through my own ways of trying to figure out how to sleep better. It's kind of like a mixed drink. And it not only helps you to fall asleep, stay asleep, it also, because of some of the molecular makeup of it, it has antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. So it also helps to fight fat, which is kind of what we're talking about. But magnesium threonate, theanine, and apigenin, or apigenin maybe. Basically, you mix those three together, and it's a way for your body to wind down and kind of fall into a relaxed sleep. Like how many times have you been like laying in bed and like you can't shut your brain off because there's a billion other things you got to be doing or you need to be doing. Like it's terrible. And that in its own self is stressful, and that induces anxiety, and it induces because your brain activity won't shut down, you can't get to sleep.
Right.
And these are all like natural things. Magnesium, as humans, we don't get enough of it naturally in our bodies from our diet. And theanine comes from a tea extract. Apigenin is something comes from a plant. It's like a flavonoid or something. But yeah, I mean, all three of those together, you're on your way. I mean, you might get like if you've never had theanine before, you might have some crazy dreams. So maybe that one you want to avoid. But
I like
if you like
giving us like a hallucinogen cocktail.
No. It's just it puts you into that deep sleep where it allows like your dreams to become very vivid.
My question though is like, do you think those things are simply like, I mean, because those are things found in plant sources for the most part, right? Do you think that those things really should be in sufficient quantity if we are really eating as much, as much vegetables as we're supposed to be?
I'm going to be honest. Like, I really don't believe in supplementing a lot of stuff, but because I struggled for so long to get to sleep, and to get enough sleep, this has literally saved my ass.
Mm-hmm.
It has literally saved my ass. So if nothing, if you wanted to just try one thing, I would say the magnesium 3 and 8, but it has to be the 3 and 8 form. It can't be like the citrate or the glycinate. It has to be the 3 and 8. I mean, those other forms are good too, but it's not specifically for sleep.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and lack of sleep can be torture. I worked with veterans in the brain health and wellness clinic when I was in physical therapy over there. And that's a huge issue. And it becomes such a cycle. It really is tough. And so when you're in that cycle, you're desperate. You'll do anything. Right. Yeah. That's where a lot of the self-medicating comes from. Yeah. But what tends to be the last bit of advice, really that anyone wants to follow is, and understandably so, right? Because we're exhausted, because our energy levels are crap, right? And we're mentally fatigued. The last bit of advice that most people want to follow is like being active and regulating your schedule. And eating food, right? It's that whole stress thing. We don't want to eat. We start going to the comfort foods, right? Because we're stressed out. It's that whole cycle. So that's kind of a different conversation, right? Mm-hmm. But relaxation is very, very important as well. And we've really addressed that a lot in our Stress Buster workshop. Again, if you have questions about that, reach out to us. That's like one of our favorite things to do. Super powerful. But yeah, it's that reduction of cortisol though, and we got to do, because I mean, cortisol, it leads, again, returning to the belly fat, the visceral fat conversation. I know we're kind of all over the place today because this leads everywhere, but yeah, that cortisol, it contributes to both those things. It contributes to the visceral fat issue, but it also, contributes to so many other problems. And in this day and age, we just have constant ups and downs that way. We have a lot of sources of stress in our world, especially in the last 2 years, where we're like having to figure out how to live again, right? So, it's a big part of the equation. And I think it's just like, nobody's really talking about it except us. We talk about it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. But stressed out people tend to, reach for comfort foods and those empty calorie foods. Again, returning to another conversation we had before, those foods that your body doesn't really recognize, right? And doesn't send out the leptin signals, right? Like, you've had enough. Your body's like, I don't know what you're putting in here, but it's not what we need. So I don't know, keep filling up. We're still hungry.
Yeah. Right? Put something else in, maybe. Keep trying.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, exactly. Just keep shoveling it in. And that's why we're like ravenous, right? We're like, oh, I can never get enough of this.
Yeah. And that comes right back to that cortisol affecting your hunger hormones, right? I mean, like, God, I'm still hungry. So let's just keep shoving it in there. That's because that hormone's not telling you you're full, even though you can feel it. You can literally feel it physically.
Yep.
Your body's like,
response.
I don't need it anymore, dude.
Yeah. Right. And then the response, the insulin response, and the crash, and there's that cycle again. So, how to manage it. I don't know. I feel like maybe we should leave this to the end, but yeah, I mean, ways to manage meditation are, 60-second reset, taking those little moments to reset, the deep breathing. There are a lot of different techniques out there, right? Exercise, again, right? It's a lot of stuff we don't really feel like doing when we're fatigued and exhausted. But a lot of the time, the thing that you feel like doing least is the thing that you need to do. I don't think I've ever talked to anyone ever, not a single time, that was like, man, I wish I hadn't gone on that walk today.
Yeah.
Right?
I wish I hadn't done that workout. That sucked. I wish I hadn't been active. Never. ever. Never happened.
That's what helps for me now when I'm having a couple days at a time where I'm having a hard time sleeping and I just can't shut my brain off. A lot of the time it tends to be on rest days when I'm not being super fit. So I try to make sure that I do something like a walk where I'm going uphill or something where I'm actively resting on my rest days. Otherwise, I don't exhaust myself and I can't go to sleep. But if I do something active and get my heart rate up and do something outside or something, I sleep a lot better at night because I exhausted myself.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
You said something at the beginning. I totally lost what my thought process was there, like in a split second.
Well,
We'll come back to that.
Here, our man Mo, it says meditation has saved my life. Well, maybe a few days. Yeah, for sure. Right. Huge impact, right, Mo? Like it's just tremendous what that can do for you. And we totally underestimate it. Totally underestimated. So I think it really is important. And again, if you want more solutions in that department, please reach out to us. We have that stuff. We've been doing this for a while and we like to have that conversation. Moving on.
Good for it.
Targeted fat loss. Let's talk about targeted fat loss.
Yeah. So this is like summarizing the whole talk, right? Like we keep talking about belly fat specifically because that was the title of our talk today. But
it's bullshit.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm sorry, guys. But it is. Okay. The belly blasting workout, melt your mitts. Oh, God, guys.
Oh, yeah. Terrible.
Pissed thinking about it. Like that's the deception, right? And it doesn't exist. It does not work that way. And that kind of language, again, right? That is misleading, misguided stuff. Right, how many people, like millions of people, so many people have asked us for those things. Like if you're a trainer, you've been asked all those questions over and over and over and over and over again. And even as an early trainer, you may not have really understood, that that's not how it works even. But that's the fact. That is the fact. So
I know you said misleading a few minutes ago or a minute ago. And that's a huge part of, like, it's a marketing scheme that is to get you to buy in. And unfortunately, it also creates a lot of belief in like the masses, right? That I only have to work out. I only have to go do these workouts. That's the only way I'm going to lose this fat, when it's not true.
It's not even going to, not only is it not true, it's straight up, not going to work. You're going to be wasting your time. Fat loss is a whole body thing. And, I hate to be that guy, but I'm that guy.
And a lot of times, mind too. A big part of the mind comes into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right?
Gotta believe it first.
Yeah, it's been so pervasive. We've been told that stuff forever, right? And it's accompanied by the imaging, right? The belly blasting workout. And here's some hot, 20-something-year-old model whose belly has zero to do with her workout. It's like,
she probably doesn't even do that workout. They say do this 20 minutes every day and
look like me. Yeah,
look like her. And you're like, I did that workout every day for 30 days and I still look like me. And it's defeating because it's not true.
Right. That's the part that I hate about it the most, is that it's like, okay, I did this and it doesn't work. We've talked about that.
Yeah. And then that instills a further belief. I can't do this. I'm hopeless. It's awful. Impossible. That's an awful feeling to have for anybody.
Yeah, I was totally there. That's what I did, was I chased these hacks and, how do you burn belly fat? How do you sculpt this? How do you do that? Well, you be a healthier person who eats better food and consistently works out and exercises. That's how you do it.
Yeah. And attacking that exercise part of it, like, I know that's the word that we use a lot. And I like that throughout this talk, we've said like activity. And we substituted activity for exercise. Okay. The exercise does not mean working out, guys. It doesn't have to be that, right? Okay. How many times have you broken a hard sweat dancing your ass off and enjoying yourself, right?
You know
Hyper.
what? Totally off topic, but also relatable. I got my girlfriend one of those virtual reality
I
headset
saw
things.
you on the Oculus.
Yeah. And so I was messing with it last night. I was sweaty in
Yes,
like
Mhm.
15 minutes.
totally. It can be fun. Okay. Your movement does not
Yeah.
need to be miserable. It doesn't have to be a workout. You don't have to have a gym. Okay. You just do something you enjoy doing with
Yeah.
your body. I have a client who goes kayaking all the time. That's her jam. That lady is fit as a fiddle. It's true though, because all she does is what she enjoys,
Mhm.
hmm
and that's it.
That's the key.
And that is the key. It really is. So, um, what can we do? We always like to end with solutions. I do want to, kind of jump back, Nick, to what we were saying about the meditation and sort of and reducing stress. Um, a couple of things that you can do. Yeah, that 60-second reset I think is so powerful. I do it several times a day. Every chance I get, I pull my car into the driveway and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
it's never this
Literally
quiet.
carving out 1
Yep.
minute for yourself is huge.
Huge. I
Mhm.
do it before I walk into the grocery store. I do it in my driveway when I get back home. Like every time I stop my car, pretty much I'm meditating. So if you're behind me in traffic and the light turns green, I'm doing my 60-second reset.
Advice: don't do it when you're driving.
Don't do it when you're driving. Mm-mm.
Thank you. Yeah, done. Disclaimer: do not meditate while driving. But I am. I'm not. I know I've been on my soapbox a lot during this talk because this industry drives me nuts and it really kind of pisses me off a lot. But I'm not going to tell you to stop worrying about how you look. Okay, we do that. I know. And yeah, I would love for us to not have to worry about that. I would love for us to not have that baggage. But that's a process. That's not something that happens overnight. I'm not going to be like, don't worry, be free of your, whatever. Like we live with that. Yes, we're all working on it. And those mental and emotional health kind of reset moments definitely help. Movement helps, right? I mean, that's just on a bio, a chemical level.
Mhm.
I'm also not going to tell you, not to work and just be a free spirit. We're just not that way. So
Yeah, we're
some
getting
work
some
has to be done.
good comments rolling in, Brandon. I'm just gonna
Nice.
interrupt you out here.
Can't
We're getting
even
some
do
good comments rolling in, and I'm gonna try something. I don't know if it's gonna show your names,
Oh, there we go.
but
Yeah.
movement is key. Look at that. I forgot
Yay.
about that.
Yeah.
It does not, unfortunately, say your name. Anyway, Brandon, continue. I'm just gonna keep throwing these in there.
That's Maria, who's like, she's Maria, you're awesome. You said something the other day that I totally related to like 100%, like so much. So I appreciate what you say. And Mo, you
just keep
too,
going.
Aiden, absolutely. I agree with all of that. A minute a day leads to more. That's right. You don't have to, thank you. Huge point. You don't have to commit to like an hour a day or whatever. Like
60
dude,
seconds.
if you have 60 seconds, who knows what'll come from that?
Yeah, and that can even go for movement too. So I have another client. Her name's Jackie. She does this thing called Blip Blip in her office. She made it up. I'm like, Jackie, you should make an app. It'll probably go because anyway, she sets an alarm every hour that she's in that office.
Yeah.
She gets up for 1 minute and does some sort of exercise, whether it's just walking in circles, squats, sit-ups, planks, doesn't matter. She does 1 minute of exercise once an hour. And she's gotten the rest of her office involved. So everybody's like walking
Nice.
around in cubicles. It's really cool.
So rad. See, that's the thing, right? Create the culture, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Start with one little blip, right? And before you know it, other people are like, yeah, dude, I'm into it. It works, right? It
Mhm.
makes you feel better. That's fantastic. I love that. Like that made my day.
Ooh.
But,
Music is my meditation. I agree with that. I have Zen time every day. It started when I worked in sales in the insurance world. And for 30 minutes every day, I lock myself in a room And those 30 minutes I'm by myself, and usually there's some metal music playing, or maybe it's classical music, depending on how the day went. And I just lose myself in my music.
Shameless plug for Rose Hill.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect for music meditation.
Just so everybody's aware, I can't. The screen's.
Are you married?
Brandon. Yeah. So here we go. So Brandon's in a band. He's got a band called Rose Hill. Everybody should check it out. Brandon, you should probably make a post about it in the next day or two.
It's good for stress reduction and meditation, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I went there last night and I sang, and we had practice. It was super fun, super cathartic. I was sweating like crazy.
There's your activity.
I actually, when I was playing almost every day, I had to stop going to the gym because I was getting too tired, like my core, and like I was just getting fatigued from doing too much of that. Yeah, it's pretty intense stuff. But and I think we've redirected the conversation quite.
It's good. Man.
No, that's what we wanted to do. I think we said that into the description. Like maybe we'll redirect this a little bit because the focus doesn't need to be on how does my belly look. I get it. We all have that again, but still, like try to practice being connected to perhaps the greater benefits of what you do in your work. Right. Your functionality, your mental and emotional well-being, being around for your kids, being whatever, playing music, being in a band, enjoying being outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Those are the things that we live for and that we love and that count for us. And, we can achieve happiness without like shrinking our belly size or whatever, or waist measurements. I don't know. But yeah, and then beyond that, right? And plus, there's just no magic pill. There's no magic pill, and thank God, right? Because I know of us would like sell their grandmothers into slavery to, the rest of their health just to get that pill. But recognize that what's good for your body is good for your mind. What's good for your mind is good for your body. And, if you want the closest things, like, I don't know, it's good to it's good to reduce inflammation by eating whole foods. It's good to have a strong core, that's a good thing to concentrate on maybe instead of like, what you're looking at in the mirror. It's good to move a lot.
Take it down a notch. I think what you're trying to say is wind it back and think about the things you could be doing rather than just the number or,
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Enjoy your life and enjoy what you do. And things will work out, right? The time's going to pass anyway.
Yeah. So you might as well make something of it.
Yeah. I don't know. So I was planning on talking about, the health and fitness industry language next week. I think that's what we said at the beginning of this talk, but I feel like we really did that pretty sufficiently today. So I don't know. Stand by. We'll
stay
let you know.
tuned. See what we have.
I'll ask. Maybe we'll ask. Maybe we'll make another survey. Who knows?
Yeah. Answer the survey. All right.
Tell us what you want to hear about. Answer it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get out of here. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys, especially who are answering questions and checking in and the feedback and the contributions. I love that stuff. It's super powerful. If you're listening to our podcast, come check out our community over here at Drop the Fat, Not the Tacos. That's our Facebook group. It's where it's my like safe place in Facebook.
Everybody's
safe our place. Logo, like the safe place thing.
It is,
Because I literally I jump on Facebook, I skip out of, I don't go to my feed or anything. I just go straight into our group and
right to the tacos,
get my nurture on. Yeah. It's my spot. So, tune in and ask us questions and, encourage each other and, post your successes, post your struggles, raise your hand. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And the reason being because the more that you put yourself out there, you might be inspiring somebody else.
100%.
You might be giving them an idea. And that's huge. That's really, really big.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Let's get out of here. Keep lifting each other up like you do. I'm going to keep saying it every week. I love you guys and We love that you're here with us. So we'll keep being here as long as you will.
All right. See ya.
Okay,
Bye, everybody.